Don Juan Sanchez de la Torre arrived in the flourishing city of Jerez in the 18th century to devote himself to the thriving sherry wine business. In 1781, he founded his own winery, which became famous in Jerez for the quality of its wines. Don Juan Sanchez also became known for his charitable work in the arts. The wine cellars, known as bodegas, that are used for aging Sanchez Romate sherry wines and brandies are in the middle of the ancient city of Jerez de la Frontera. Jerez is located between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean, close to the Bay of Cadiz. So, sherry wines have been exported for centuries, ever since 1587. That was when the English pirate Sir Francis Drake and Martin Frobisher raided Cadiz and took 3,000 casks of sherry wine to London, where sherry became fashionable tipple at the royal court. It's between Jerez de la Frontera, El Puerto de Santa Maria, and Sanlúcar de Barrameda, where real sherry wines are produced. Centuries before the birth of Christ, the Phoenicians first introduced the vine to Spain and to Europe from here in the Jerez region. But the first officially written record of winemaking in the Jerez region came in the 16th century, when the Jesuit fathers were officially granted a license to make money from the sale of wines. Today, this Jerez winemaking region remains the home of sherry wines and the brandies of Jerez. Sanchez Romate has a number of acres of vineyards in the Jerez area and a modern vinification plant. This guarantees the quality of our products. The Sherry Regulatory Board defines 3 kinds of brandy. First is the Brandy de Jerez Solera, which has a minimum aging time of 6 months. Then there's the Brandy de Jerez Solera Reserva, which has a minimum maturing time of 1 year. Finally, there's Brandy de Jerez Solera Gran Reserva. This brandy is aged for a minimum of 3 years. The Simon & Schuster Pocket Guide to Cognac and Other Brandies says that in the last 30 years, Cardinal Mendoza has become a highly regarded brandy. This guidebook highlights the special qualities of Cardinal Mendoza brandy. It says this Sanchez Romate brandy is prized everywhere. Cardinal Mendoza brandy is one of the few brandies in the world that still has only very limited production. That's because this brandy, even now, is made in the traditional artisanal way it was made 100 years ago. The expert craftsmen who make this brandy stamp each bottle by hand. Before being bottled, Cardinal Mendoza goes through a long artisanal production and maturing process. It's made according to the rules of the Brandy Regulatory Board, which strictly supervises the production of this Brandy de Jerez. The brandy comes from sherry wines that are slowly distilled in copper pot stills, known in Spanish as the alquitaras, which were brought here by Eastern cultures. This is a delicate distillation process which produces 65% grape spirit. That spirit is called the Holanda. This Holanda contains an abundance of volatile substances, giving the final product a more complex flavor. After we select the best Holandas, we bring them down to an alcohol strength suitable for drinking. Then they're aged for 2 years without moving. We call these brandies añadas. Next, we use the traditional aging process of criaderas and soleras. Here we have 9 independent groups of brandy casks. It works this way. We take a small amount of the oldest brandy from the solera cask for bottling. We fill the empty space in the solera cask with the next oldest brandy from the first criadera, just above it. We then top up the first criadera cask with the still younger brandy from the second criadera, and so on, up to the 8th level, the 8th criadera. Finally, we top up the empty space in the 8th, the youngest criadera, with the 2-year-old añada brandy. In sum, this is a slow artisanal aging process. It results in a unique brandy of insuperable quality. Cardinal Mendoza Clásico is the first brandy we produced and marketed. It has a dark golden color with mahogany and iodine tones. The brandy shines against the light, the result of aging in American oak casks. We launched the unique Cardenal Mendoza Carta Real brandy to celebrate the new millennium. The brandy was placed aside in 1982 and has been slowly and carefully aging since then. The result is a brandy with exceptional bouquet and flavor. We began selling Cardenal Mendoza Non Plus Ultra brandy in 1981 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Sanchez Romate Hermanos. In the years before 1981, we had put aside the best Cardenal Mendoza Solera brandies to mature into the special Non Plus Ultra brandy. It's a dense brandy with the sharpness of the oak tannin combined with the sweetness of the Pedro Jimenez wine casks. The flavor is very soft and mild. This exceptional Cardenal Mendoza Non Plus Ultra brandy is a very limited production. Cardenal Mendoza brandy at the summit of Jerez brandies. Sanchez Romate Hermanos, the famous sherry wine bodega of Jerez, now introduces its 1 in 1,000 brandy, the first single-barrel brandy on the market. What this means is that the 1 in 1,000 brandy, the uno en mil brandy, is selected from 1,000 American oak barrels of selected wine spirits. In other words, it's the best of the best brandy of Jerez. Single barrel is a common term in the whiskey and rum trade. This is because the bottles of finished product come from a single barrel. They all have the same fine taste. And of course, there are subtle differences from one barrel to the other. The differences in color and bouquet result from the different microclimates and different ages of the sherry wines used in their production. These special uno en mil brandies come from grapes of the Aran variety, distilled to a low strength in copper pot stills, to conserve all the properties that lend character and complexity to the brandy. The distillation is then aged in American oak barrels which previously contained sherry wines, in accord with the standards laid down by the Jerez Brandy Regulatory Board. Ricardo Real, our oenologist and brandy expert, selects the best barrels. These are bottled in their pure state without any blending. Each bottle is numbered by hand with an indication of which barrel it has come from. This uno en mil brandy has exceptional characteristics, with a handsome light amber color from barrels previously impregnated with fine sherry wines, finos and amontillados, with deep aromas and smooth vanilla flavors. They provide an intense, prolonged taste. With the launch of this new uno en mil brandy, the House of Sanchez Romate offers the best of its range of outstanding brandies, led by the prestigious Cardenal Mendoza brandy. But also Romate offers a complete line of sherry wines. We offer very limited production of our treasured Sacristia de Romate family of vintage wines, exceptional sherry wines for special occasions. We age all these Sacristia de Romate wines in casks of American oak, following the Jerez tradition. We also offer special reserved wines, the Reservas Especiales. These include the Pedro Jimenez Cardinal Cisneros wine, Cream Iberia, Amontillado Into You, Fino Marismeño, Oloroso Don Jose, and Palo Cortado Regente. We also have special reserves of the usual sherries, Fino, Manzanilla, Dulce, Oloroso, and Pedro Jimenez Superior de Romate. Romate, 1781.